Sorry, sir.
You're not listening. You see, you pose the question, you're reading the letter. Now, how can you be listening to me?
Somebody gave this to me.
You're not right, but first you listen to me. I'm answering your question.
It's a Muslim lady that gave this to me. Okay, I'm sorry.
All these people are waiting and you're reading the letter. Now, what do I do? Please, brother. So a prophecy was made. God promising Abraham, so I'll give you and your seed after you all the land of Canaan for an everlasting possession, and I will be the God. Now the Jews are programmed, brainwashed into thinking that they are the only sons and seeds of Abraham, because they discount Ishmael, forgetting that in the book of Genesis, no less than 12 places God Almighty speaks about Ishmael. As Ishmael, he says, as for Ishmael, I have heard thee. 12 princes shall he beget, and I will make him a great nation, because he is thy seed. And as for Ishmael thy son, and as for Ishmael thy seed, no less than 12 places, which the Jew ignores. If he only recognizes his own book, that look, Ishmael as the firstborn, according to the Jewish law, he has more rights than the secondborn. And the Bible tells you that even if the child, the firstborn, is the son of a hated wife, even then you can't disinherit him. Whether you like him or you don't, he has his full inheritance. So they forget. Therefore, now this booklet of mine, you go home and you read it. It gives you all the explanation why this sickness, how the sickness is developed, and what are the answers to those sicknesses. It's all given to you.
Well, you then, Mr. Deedat, quote, like you so rightfully quoted now, about the seed of Abram. Will you then so rightfully quote what I have just quoted now, also about Ishmael?
What about Ishmael?
Will you then please quote?
I quoted you.
You never quoted.
I'm quoting you the verses. Do you know the Bible?
But you didn't quote this.
Chapter 17.
Chapter 16.
Open chapter 17 of the Bible.
But will you please quote to the people chapter 16, verses 11 to 12?
You read it?
Now, will you please quote it to them? You've got the Bible. You use the Bible for the other questions. Why not open the Bible now?
Point of order. You have read, sir, you have read the quotation from the Bible, which you had the right to quote, which you did. Mr. Deedat has given you even further quotations in addition to what you have read. I therefore believe that the answer that you have been to the question you've been posing has been answered by both you and the speaker. Thank you very much. All right, I will allow the gentleman in front here one more question, and then I would like to say that the lady who has posed the question appears to be a bit stage fright. I will read the question for her after your question has been answered, sir.
Mr. Finley, do you believe that after your discussion now about Israel, that is set up for destruction, or are they set up for destruction? Do you believe after all they have done, after all this, sorry. Can I speak this? With all Israel's sin and their waywardness from God, whom God has chosen as a chosen nation, do you believe that God has now rejected them because of the sins that they're committing? Mr.
I did not come here as a religious scholar in any sense. I'm not one. But I'll be glad to respond to your question. If one takes literally the words of the Old Testament, then it is very clear that the Israelites of that day were chosen of God, but chosen in the servant sense, not the leader sense. It's also easily demonstrated that the compact made with God in that period was violated by the Israelites, so that any promise that God had made to them as chosen people in regard to the land was abrogated by their own violations.
Could I read the question now, posed by a Muslim sister? I have no idea where she is. I do not know who she expects to answer, either Paul Findlay or Ahmed Deedat. But the question is, what role has South Africa played in the oppression of the Palestinian people? Is it here or here? This one or this one? Who should answer? Paul Findlay, can the lady show me? This side or that side? This side, Mr. Deedat.
Thank you, sister. What role has South Africa played in this oppression by the Israelis of the Palestinians? The role is both are as like Siamese twins. The Jews, see, the Israelis and the South African government are like Siamese twins. See, they are the only two nations on earth which are all both opting for the same thing: apartheid, keeping people apart, oppressing people, exploiting people. So, as such now, they ought to be, because South Africa has got no friends, and Israel really, besides the United States, also has no friends. So, they have to get together.
I speak as a Christian. I asked the question of Mr. Finlay. The question was raised earlier on. Why is there such a big lobby in the United States Congress against the Arab states? And I asked him, and I think he agrees with me, I did speak to him, it's based upon the false Christian doctrine of premillennialism, which tries to put Christ back on the physical throne in Jerusalem. And so the people in the United States who lobby against the Arabs are scared that they're going to blaspheme God if they don't allow this to happen. But my question to him is it not true that the doctrine of premillennialism is false? And in fact, in Christianity, there's neither Jew nor Greek, male nor female, bond nor free. We are all one together.
Thank you for that question. One day in rural Illinois, when I was seeking re-election to Congress, a young man, a very serious young man who was then an official of the county government, came to me, and he said, with nothing in the way of malice in his manner, he said with greatest sincerity, I must warn you, what you are saying and attempting to do in regard to the Middle East is going against God's will. You are going against God's plan, and I fear for you. And he was very serious. This man believed in the doctrine of millennialism. Yes. He also believed in biblical prophecy, under which God granted to the people of Israel the right to certain land in the Middle East. He believed that the day of judgment will come, and in his view, the sooner the better. And when that day comes, there will be a great battle on the plain of Armageddon between the forces of good and evil. And Christians will be raptured above the battle and be safe. And in that battle, the forces of good will triumph. And all of the Jews on earth at that moment will either be destroyed or converted instantly to Christianity. Now, this young man was not an isolated figure in my district. There are thousands of people in my constituency who believe exactly as he did. And when one takes the entire nation as a whole, there are probably 40 million American citizens that hold to that doctrine. This means that they support Israel. They want Israel to be strong until that moment of Armageddon. They believe it is their duty as Christians to give every bit of political support they can to the military strength of the State of Israel. 40 million American citizens holding to this notion of biblical prophecy that I don't believe at all. Most American Christians reject it, but still there is this enormous body of Christians who do support this idea. And they, in effect, are a part of the lobby for the State of Israel in America today. They cannot be ignored. They're difficult to reason with, but they are there and they are effective, and it's part of the problem that we face.
Thank you. That's very well.
Thank you.
A question to the ex-Congressman Paul Findlay, please. Mr. Findlay, a quick glance at your book, I see the first edition was in 1985. You were a congressman for 22 years, which I assume was from 1960 onwards. Is that correct? Now, the question here is, when exactly did you start with your sort of crusade